You want to sell $100 scratch-off tickets to poor people? Have at it. You want to sell $50 scratch-off tickets in check cashing stores? Have at it. You want to advertise online gambling on college campuses so that kids are participating in this? Go have at it. There's no check on this whatsoever. It's driven by greed and a lust for political power.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Don Reed Sr. I'm the founder of the program, the DonReedShow.org, on television now, and we're starting out new with every time with a different guest, different questions. The show is called the Don Reed Show Ask Don. So you have a question out there, call me up. Information will be at the end of the program, and you can get all the information on how to help us. And today, my guest is Les Bernal, and you're from Massachusetts, right?
That's correct.
And since you're involved in the problem of gambling, now what would you ask me, or what's the question they asked you?
Sure. So I'm Les Bernal, the National Director for Stop Predatory Gambling. And the question that I receive a lot, Don, is, Les, I'm not a big fan of the state promoting commercialized gambling, but isn't it a good revenue source for towns and cities and state government?
And what's your answer?
The answer is it's an epic failure. It's one of the biggest public policy failures of the last 50 years. And there's several reasons for that. Is one, the business model for this is based on addiction. So all the revenue that the state collects from this is based on creating and cultivating citizens to become addicted gamblers. So state lotteries make 70 to 80% of their lottery revenue come from 10% of the players. Regional casinos make 60% of their gambling profits come from addicted gamblers. And online gambling operators make 70% of their gambling profits from citizens from 1% of citizens who are gambling. So the state government is a partner to all of this. All these gambling operators you see on TV and in your local communities, they're all part of state government. The business is only legal unless you partner with the state. And so the last big idea I want to share with your viewers is, if you don't gamble at all, if you're one of the Americans, one of the 2/3 of Americans who never gambles or rarely gambles, you pay even if you don't play. Because when all this money is being lost, over the next 5 years in America, the American people are going to lose more than $1 trillion of personal wealth to commercialized gambling pushed by state governments. Okay? Who do you think, think of all the rent checks, all the mortgage checks, the healthcare costs, food costs, food stamps, all that stuff. Think of all the money that represents that people could use for other things to improve people's lives. And instead, that $1 trillion of lost wealth that citizens is going right into the hands of some already super wealthy people. And in the hands of and in theory, state government. But state government in the long term, are you paying less taxes today in your state because your state has $100 scratch-off tickets or because you have online gambling? Of course you're not. You're paying higher taxes today. So you pay even if you don't play.
The thing is, when you're trying to do something like that, is there any particular areas or towns that you can, or you said that they supposedly wanted the casinos or whatever to come in, right?
Let me use an example that most of your viewers will be familiar with. So Atlantic City in New Jersey, it was a city, a community right on the water there in New Jersey. Back in the late 1970s, hey, let's legalize casinos, the promoters said, the gambling operators said, and a handful of public officials. Legalize casinos and we'll redevelop Atlantic City. We'll create an economic boom for the area. After 50 years of casinos, okay, the poverty rate in Atlantic City, okay, and this is after billions and billions of dollars of personal wealth has been lost by citizens everywhere. Billions of dollars of wealth lost. That the poverty rate in Atlantic City today is higher than it was in the late 1970s. How is that even possible? They get bailouts from state taxpayers in New Jersey they have to subsidize the casinos, like because the casinos have been such a drain, and they become because the casinos are such a powerful special interest group, they get all these other special privileges that no other business in New Jersey gets. But who do you think pays for all that? The taxpayers in New Jersey are paying for that. But how is a business that's supposedly generated all these billions of dollars of wealth, yet the community itself has a higher poverty rate? Like, because it's a con. The whole business is a ripoff. The only people that profit in the commercialized gambling business are the people that own the casinos, the people that run the lotteries, the people that run the online gambling operations. And that's why they spend millions and millions of dollars advertising it and lobbying for it.
Well, it's amazing how we can get involved in so many areas of that. I want to bring up the fact, and that's why we have this called the Don Reed Show, Ask Questions. We get questions here that we can talk. Maybe the pastors don't know how to answer it, or it's a sexual problems or whatever we have on here, that we can come to us and ask us our opinion. They read books or whatever, okay? But when you come to the innocent part of bingo, all right? Now, you are raised in the Catholic Church right now, and that's not good either, spiritually wise and everything else.
Agreed, yeah.
What would you say about that when they say, well, the church does it?
Yeah, so that's important. So we define. So I'm no fan of Catholic Church bingo, even though I'm a Catholic. I get all that. I think it was a mistake for the Catholic Church to go down that road. But there's a huge difference between. So we would call Catholic Church bingo more form of social gambling. So yes, the church is making some money from it, but it's no one's borrowing money to go into to do Catholic Church bingo. No one's losing their home because of Catholic Church bingo. The money stays locally. So we call it social gambling, all right? Predatory gambling, what we describe this, is when states partner with these powerful gambling corporations to cheat and exploit citizens, okay? You have states like Texas selling $100 scratch-off tickets in communities where people make $7.25 an hour. Or you got to work 2 full days in Texas where you can lose it in 5 seconds on a $100 scratch-off ticket. That's predatory gambling. You have states like Illinois have slot machines in laundromats in rural places. Okay, there's 5 or 6 slot machines. You go to use the laundromat. There's 5 slot machines there, courtesy of state government. And you know what they call the laundromats now? The people that own these places, they call them wash and wins. Right? That's a government program doing this. So it's one thing to have gambling in the church basement. I'm not a fan of that, but there's a social element to that at least. This is not about whether or not the individual gambles. This is about the business of gambling, the people that run the business. And states are doing this in partnership with these powerful gambling corporations. And the last fact I want to share with you, Don, on this point is over the last 50 years, commercialized gambling has metastasized like a cancer across our country in states and communities everywhere. Despite all that, there's not a single state attorney general from either political party, who's ever brought consumer protection litigation against a commercialized gambling operator once they've been legalized by the state. So state lotteries, regional casinos, online gambling operators, all those predatory business practices that no other business can get away with, they're done with the blessing of state government because the state is a partner to this. The state is making money from this. So every other industry, like opioid makers, tobacco companies, state attorney generals, they sue to protect the public. When it comes to gambling, hey, you want to sell $100 scratch-off tickets to poor people? Have at it. You want to sell $50 scratch-off tickets in check cashing stores? Have at it. You want to advertise online gambling on college campuses so that kids are participating in this? Go have at it. There's no check on this whatsoever. It's driven by greed and a lust for political power.
Les, when I first on this show here, we were on here before, when I first talked to you there, and you said a question just real quickly, and it's not picking on any church, but when it functions in a church, whether they're raising money on food or whatever, okay, would Catholic Church be considered a predatory under the word that you called?
Describe it. The answer, I would say Catholic Church bingo is not predatory because it's not. They're not openly exploiting and cheating citizens. It's not as casual as say as a casual wager on the golf course. But it's not good. But it definitely doesn't fit the criteria of predatory gambling because people aren't losing their homes on it. They're not causing permanent financial damage to people's personal finances. And there's a social element to it. You know what I mean? Like, so that there's a major difference to it. So the Catholic Church, as many individuals do in America, there's a nuanced position on gambling. So they're okay with what people do privately in small unlicensed games, because that's a question I get too. Like, well, Wes, if you restrict all these extreme forms of gambling, what's the alternative? What do you envision? So allow small unlicensed gambling games that are private, but take the government out of it. The government should be on the side of protecting the American public, not on the side of openly cheating and exploiting its own citizens.
Yes, and in fact, if you're the first time watching our program here, we're talking about the problem of gambling. Now, I was a compulsive gambler. It's a different way of approaching it. So we're trying to bring out the innocent part of how it starts and where to get help. And so we're not picking on anybody out there, no matter who they are. We're just trying to get a problem settled. You can sense a problem and come in, your friends can say, hey, this man's staying too long at the bar, he's staying too long at the club, they're playing poker all the time and all weekends, and it develops into a larger problem. So people are going to say, well, how can I get help? So you can have help them in that area. It's not necessary from what I approach it, or my mystery. So we got to get all these people here today. And I think they told me from when I was some of the mission fields I went to and spoken places that there's over 10 million compulsive gamblers.
Easily.
Did you know that?
Yeah. There's more than 40 million Americans today, Don, who have been harmed by predatory gambling. Because yes, there's a lot of addicted gamblers, like well over 10 million citizens are addicted to it. But when you have a problem, when you get with predatory gambling, it doesn't just affect the citizen who got addicted. It affects the spouse. It affects the kids. It affects your coworkers. It affects your employers, your brothers and sisters. So you have at least probably 15 people or so. It affects this huge universe of people around you, who also pay the price because they had someone in their life who they cared about got addicted to gambling. So today, more than 40 million Americans have suffered harm because of predatory gambling. That's why predatory gambling is America's most neglected major problem. Commercialized gambling, advertising, and marketing has become the public voice of American government today. We've totally normalized this activity as if gambling on everything is normal. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Then the lottery would be a predatory.
Lottery is front and center. State lotteries in America are the poster child for predatory gambling. All of these extreme forms of gambling we have today in the public square are based upon state lotteries. And today, state lotteries now are morphing into online casino operators. So they're offering games on the internet that they call, these are online scratch-off tickets, but they're really forms of online casino games. Okay, the user experience is like playing an online slot machine, and so on. Like that, the state lotteries are the poster child for this.
Okay, some of you people may have never seen our program before, or we're on television now. I just want to say one thing. If it's possible that you may have not heard the last week's program, you can go on the YouTube and various channels and watch it too. And we're not promoting this organization. We're trying to go and help them. They want to help us, and we want to help them in different ways. So you maybe didn't hear the program last week, but what's the name of your organization?
Yeah, so the name of our organization is Stop Predatory Gambling. And we're a national network of citizens. We're involved in all 50 states. We represent people of all political stripes. And our mission is to reveal the truth behind commercialized gambling operators, to prevent more victims, and to advocate for major gambling reform policy in our country.
Where are you located at? Is it?
So historically, we were founded in Washington, D.C., but I'm personally based out of the Boston area myself. But we have citizens and represented every state in our country.
You do, with your company?
Yeah, well, we're a national nonprofit. Yeah.
So if they call and they don't have any money, they can get some advice there.
Yeah, we don't charge anything for. We rely simply on the donations of our supporters to fund our work. But people who call us for help, we help everybody. We give away our services for free.
Can a man or woman meet with the advisors with your company? Do they meet them personally?
Yes, they can. Yeah, I travel. I'm on the road constantly for this work. We travel, one of the big fights today in America as I meet with you is in New York City today. These powerful gambling interests are trying to build casinos in the New York City area, right in the heart of New York City, Coney Island, Manhattan, Long Island, so we've spoken several times for those communities. So there's community organizing groups that have stood up, said we don't want a casino in our community, and so we'll go there, we'll speak at these community groups, help them advocate to organize against these proposals being targeted in their communities. But we do that all over the country, at the micro level and the state level.
Someone would call you on our program, or would you go speak in their churches?
I'd be glad to. I'd be honored to speak. We do a lot. We speak in churches and colleges and before businesses, chambers of commerce, you name it.
Okay, it's how our ministry, I have another ministry that's called Crossing Paths. It's me. I crossed paths with your friend, what was in
Professor John Kint.
And I'll tell you, he impressed me really.
He's one of the premier gambling scholars in this country. He's a special man.
The way he fluently I come away with, if I was a innocent, not compulsive gambler, but if I was standing by and heard him the way he explained it, he would impress me that, hey, maybe this is the people that can help my wife or husband.
Yeah.
And so if the wife or husband come to you, now you got confidentially, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That has to be kept quiet.
We get a lot of calls from people who need help, and we have a whole network of people that are set up to help folks who are dealing with problems, and because we have relationships in every state with folks, who can help people on the ground. Like, we can't help with financial problems. We don't have the money to help you bail out financially, but we can help you get on a path to, stop the gambling piece, but also to help advocate in your state and your community for reform. Because a big part of this, it's not just we need to help the citizens who are getting harmed, but we also have to stand up and prevent more harm. Like, right now, we have an epidemic of teen and child gambling in our country because kids are being exposed to sports gambling relentlessly, and every sporting event is just immersed. It's like this. It's about gambling, and they're squeezing the sports around the gambling. I always tell the story. When I was a kid growing up, I used to collect baseball cards and sports cards of my favorite teams and my favorite athletes. Today, if you're a kid growing up, like you're 12, 13 years old, they're talking about betting on sports in the school locker rooms, in the school cafeterias, on the school playground. Like that hasn't always been, that wasn't happening, with any kind of frequency over the last, 50 years. Like, now that's everywhere.
I'm just thinking here too, knowing your way of helping people, and mine too, that the $1 billion on the lottery, stuff like that, and I have to make this illustration. I do tax returns, and one man come in with the tax return, how problems exist. Everybody, it wasn't $1 million, but maybe 100,000, 300,000. So I said, John, how you doing? And I said, good. He said, I won. He said, okay. I said, good. And I said, Mary, how you doing? She said, my name's not Mary. Well, I looking at last year's tax return. Well, here they won 200,000 or 300,000 on the lottery, and they were divorced because of that. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't know. They win all this money, and it don't give them satisfaction. The only satisfaction you can get is be born again, according to John 3:3, 1 Peter 1:23. That's, you have to give your life together, but we cannot condemn these people. We have to be an example. My life is an example after 50 years that Christ can do. I put down the bottle and picked up the Bible. All right, so I haven't drank, but I better be a changed life, right? Now, these men here, when somebody calls them, they're not going to be somebody that's still gambling or in a problem or alcohol or whatever, but their area is gambling. And there's like many, I know, you said there was a lot of churches, I believe it, that are speaking out against it.
There are. But there's also, there's definitely some pastors out there that are still taking this issue on, but there's also a lot of church congregations. There's a lot of Christians in our country, of all faith forms of Christianity in our country, that we become hypocritical on this issue. So like in a state like Georgia, which is a state they fought like heck initially against the lottery 30 years ago, but now that the lottery's been there for 30 years, you have a whole generation of people where they've grown up. And so that the state lottery revenue in Georgia goes to pay, ultimately, at the end of the day, for middle-class families and upper-class families to go to college on college scholarships based upon money lost by low-income people. They call it the Hope Scholarship Program, and it's funded by the Georgia Lottery. So you'll have a room of good Christians stand up in the room. The governor will praise how great the lottery is, and he'll get a standing ovation because their families are benefiting from this. It's been normalized. So we have to put our own, all around us, like we cannot benefit from this money. This is blood money, because the money that comes in from commercialized gambling is coming from citizens who are addicted or financially desperate. So all of us have to reject the money that's coming in and say, I'm not going to send my kid to college based on some low-income person. It's the American dream perverted. The idea that a low-income person would pay for a middle-class, upper-class family to go to college. Like that's the perversion of what the American dream is supposed to represent.
Well, and not only that, I don't know whether you know your organization, but from what I understand, I'm an IRS enrolled agent, retired, and so forth. But I say this because I do tax returns. But from my understanding and reading and so forth, the average churchgoer gives about $400, $500 a year. I'm not talking about the born-again Christian, but the average churchgoer only gives $400 or $500 a year, and they give more to the lottery.
Oh, no question.
So
yeah.
Naturally, the pastors sometimes are not speaking out as much as they should because they might offend somebody. But the Bible is the Bible, and the Word of God is the Word of God.
But all the gambling that's occurring in our country is directly affecting the collections of churches everywhere. You'd have higher collection rates in your churches if there wasn't so much commercialized gambling happening today.
I'll tell you, if I could sit 2 hours and talk to you about, we haven't even touched on some of the areas that are involved in the innocent areas, but you're watching the DonReedShow.org, okay? And I want to tell you something. I've been in ministry now for 50 years, and I don't care whether I make mistakes or not because I'm not perfect. But I'll tell you one thing. I went to this new ministry, and this new ministry, a lot of people don't know about it, is to have to ask Don, what questions out there they're not getting answered on alcohol, gambling, sex, different things, and we have that information on the screen. It'll be on there perfectly that you can call us because our ministry is new, and we need some people out there to help us get started. Now, I want to say one thing. What is the absolutely story of the DonReedShow.org? Salvation. I want that to be clear, very clear. The Lord changed my life 50 years ago when I was selling dice in Las Vegas. Sent an angel in there. If you want to go to hear about my book, you can get all the information there. And I put down the bottle, and I picked up the Bible. And I found out I'm not normal. Well, I'm peculiar. Well, my brother here is peculiar because all we want to do is talk about Jesus and help other people. And the crew that's taking care of my cameras the same way here. They're here dedicated. But are you, it's very simple. If someone asked you, if you die right now, are you going to go to heaven? 90% of people left, but I would say, I don't think so. I don't know. And, the Bible says you can know that you know that you know. Because they're so involved in religion. I'll say that again. They're so involved in religion and not a relationship.
Well said.
See, you can have there's over 500, I don't know how many religions in the world, right? Well said. But there's only one way that you can get to heaven, and that's through the blood of Jesus Christ. He died on the cross for me, you, and for today, for tomorrow. That's a pretty good deal for an ex-gambler. And the future, past, present, future. And that was when I laid down the bottle in the Bible 50 years ago. I can become a born-again Christian. So if, a lot of people don't understand what it is, if that's okay, call me, and we'll tell you and talk about it. Or if you have some problems, there's an organization here you can call. If you think my dad or my problem or my kids have a problem, there's help. But one thing, you have to get rid of pride. There'll be more people in Proverbs says that there'll be more people in pride in hell because of pride. Believe me, because they won't admit they got a problem. And that's what our ministry has come along for here. The DonReedShow.org is here to help people, and we have a telephone number on the screen and all the information. But most important, I want to talk about you today. I'm talking about you out there. You're sitting with your family, and you're getting worse. And I'm not talking about gambling. I'm talking about alcohol. I'm talking about sex or women or whatever you want to call it. You can get the answers here by calling our number here on the screen. But I want to tell you something. Today is the day for salvation, not tomorrow. You could die, and I would never end the program yet without asking the salvation mission. Do you know Jesus? And say, if you say doubt, say it with your family. Say, Lord, I'm a sinner. Right now, by faith, I receive you into my heart. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, died on the cross for me personally. I believe that Jesus Christ arose from the grave, walked on this earth, ascended to heaven, and intercedes for me personally. Say, Lord, personally. Say, Lord Jesus, now I want to thank you. I want to thank you for forgiving me for my sins, past, present, and future. And say, Lord, right now just listen to me, write my name in the Lamb's Book of Life. There's 2 books. Lamb's Book of Life, I want to tell you, and the other one is the Judgment Seat of Christ, and that's the perfect one you want to be, or we're going to go to the Great White Throne Judgment, and that's for those unbelievers. So we're most important on this ministry of salvation. And you can absolutely have that today. I guarantee it. If God did it for me, he can do it for you or anybody else. God does not play favoritism. I don't care whether you're a Baptist, a Catholic, a Methodist, baptized in the water spirit, or whatever you want to call it. There's only one way, and that's the cross of Jesus Christ. You know why? I can prove it. How? My changed life. You say, well, Don, I know I'm going to sin tomorrow. The Bible doesn't say worry about it. It goes Matthew 6:34 says, take no thought for tomorrow will take thought of itself. Sufficient unto the day is evil. Live one day at a time. Matthew 6:33 says, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, and all these things will be added. And you end up just like me, picture or him, willing to tell somebody else about Jesus. This ministry today has been just starting out. We need your help out there, and God bless you. There's a telephone number on the screen, all the information, how you can help us. But the most important is you make the decision, not tomorrow or yesterday, right now. People, today is the day of salvation. God bless you and thank you, and tell somebody today about the new show, the DonReedShow.org. Ask Don and call us right now. God bless you.
Thank you for watching The Don Reed Show. If you have a question to ask Don Reed, please visit our website at thedonreedshow.org and click Ask Don. If you have a question, call us at 724-977-2247. That's 724-977-2247. A representative is standing by. If you would like to donate to The Don Reed Show, mail checks to the Don Reed Ministry, P.O. Box 1181, Hermitage, PA 16148, or visit our website at thedonreedshow.org. We are a 501c3 organization. The Don Reed Show is on TV at Life Christian Broadcasting Network. You can watch him on Wednesday nights at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. He's available on cable networks Spectrum, Time Warner, Comcast Cable, White Sands Cable, also satellite at Dish Network Cable, DirecTV Cable, AT&T Uverse Cable, and the channels are listed below. You can now stream The Don Reed Show live on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Android TV, and watch The Don Reed Show on his website, donreedshow.org. Download the app Life Christian TV to watch live stream, and to watch youtube.com at The Don Reed Show. We thank you again for watching The Don Reed Show. Be blessed, and we'll see you next time.